Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Spy Family, Season 3.
Spy Family, Season 3, Episode 6. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. Sage, we're back for more Anime Night in the dojo, and well, last week we got introduced to Desmond's mom, Damien's mom, the Desmond's mother, yes. The former First Lady, something. Yeah, there was a lot of information there, and a lot of weirdness that needs to be looked into based on all the random faces she made. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll just have to see where that goes. There was also a volleyball put into orbit. So, you know, just saying. The madness was real.
Yeah, and Yor didn't even pull a Millie and Yamcha somebody.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody could have got Yamcha right there. Just put a crater right in that very nice wooden floor that, you know, just saying, it could have happened. But either way, we'll just have to see what comes of that, because that gives Lloyd another in to potentially getting around to... We had his name, Donovan. Getting around to Donovan. And so that's always good for the mission. So
it's Donovan, Demetrius, and Damien.
Yeah, Triple D. They didn't have that in Ed and Eddie, so they had to do it here, right? That's the homage. So, either way, Lloyd has another end potentially, so options are optional. We did have that really interesting thing with the leader, or whatever he is, of Garden, like the main guy. Like, kind of like questioning Lloyd's political views, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
from what we saw of him before, he was already kind of suspicious. I believe Igor refers to him as like the shopkeeper or something like that is his title.
yeah. So things are happening in the background, that's cool. But going forward here, we've got a pretty interesting episode title. Going full speed here, maybe. So we'll just have to see. It's always interesting when they have it's kind of like a trope where, you know, the rich kid's X thing gets hijacked. You know, their field trip in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? They get held hostage at a hotel or at a restaurant or a campground, or you know what I mean? And in this case, it's going to be a bus. So I can't wait to see what they do with that. There should be some moderate hilarity with that. I guess I should mention this every time that this happens. I also have to make an announcement that I'm glad I just remembered, because our recordings have been all over the place this week. But for this episode, it is another dual skit, so like two different like situations. Next week, as we can see here on Crunchyroll, it is a singular title, so that means one thing, which generally speaking means it's following up from the second skit from, say, this week, with it being the Eden College bus jacking incident. So I assume that's going to be like an episode and a half thing kind of deal, kind of like Lloyd's past. You know what I mean? Sorry, kind of out of it, but generally speaking, when Spy Family has an episode that is just singular like that, it's kind of a big deal. So that's how usually that is. But I should also mention, now that I remembered it, that I've been forcibly opted in by YouTube, and some of you might have gotten these things before where, you know, you're on YouTube and they're beta testing new features. Like, remember when they moved the playlist around and they did a bunch of stuff last year and people are losing their minds and stuff like that? So for creators, I guess this is a new thing, is there's now a thing where when you go to publish a video, you have all your options if you've never done it, but you have all the options you have to go through, how you want to do stuff, you know, whatever. But now there's a thing forcibly on for me, and has been applied to all my videos, because I checked. There's reasons that you have to be subscribed for a day before you can comment. And that is likely to combat people scamming in the comments, is the biggest TLDR that you can give of that. If you want to know more about that, I'm sure somebody's done a video on comment scammers. You know what I mean? So they're probably trying to combat that. But I can't turn it off. The only thing I can do right now is change it from 1 day or 1 week. Those are my options. It's on right now. Maybe they really want people to test it and see what happens, so there's nothing I can do about it. So if you want to comment, yes, you have to subscribe for be subscribed for at least a day. And yeah, I question why I'm somebody who got hit by this. You would think channels with less than 1,000 subscribers wouldn't be subject to this kind of thing. Obviously. You know what I mean? It seems kind of stupid. I had mentioned before that tops we get a couple comments a week throughout all of our videos. So, it seems kind of weird to me. In all the time that we've done YouTube, we've never gotten a scam comment. So, I don't know why I got hit by this of all people, because as I mentioned, I checked my other channel, the channel that I've closed because of all the shenanigans that happened back in July. That when I go to upload a video there, there's no thing. The comment beta thing is not there. And it doesn't even say it's a beta test, it's just there. So clearly it's a beta test because it's on one channel, not another. So it's just one of those things that we have to deal with. So for the foreseeable future, I'm going to have this thing, and there's nothing I can do about it. So who knows if it's a permanent thing with newer accounts, or I have no idea. I have not been able to find really anything on it, but to be fair, I really haven't looked because I really don't care, because there's nothing I can do about it. So what's the point? You know what I mean?
I haven't heard anything about it apart from just the fact that apparently it's been going on now.
Yep. So if I know more about it, what the hell am I going to do about it? It's not like I can complain to YouTube and they're going to do anything. So just a heads up for that, for the foreseeable future. That's where we're going to be at. So if you guys want to comment, you're going to have to subscribe. Yeah. Good times. Options are not optional in this case, apparently. So there's the PSA for that, because I've had to do it on every video this week, because once again, I don't expect or assume anybody watches every show that we do. So I have to put it out there for everybody to know what's going on. So there's that PSA. I'll mention it every once in a while, just in case, people are questioning it. But yeah, there's the big spiel on that. So anyway, we're going to get going here with Spy Family. So people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the reaction, and people on YouTube for the discussion and review. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. Kind of a split episode, but the majority of the episode revolved around this man, played by Ian Sinclair.
Yeah, it's instead of a kind of half and half, we got more of like a 3/4 and then a lead up into the next full episode.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this would have been a solid episode, just to kind of I think they kind of already stretched it out as much as they could for this skit. But I assume the next section probably covers a pretty big section of of the volume kind of deal, whatever volume this came from. At some point, I kind of want to check this out just to kind of see if I have time to read stuff, because I got through all of Campfire Cooking last week on just a random whim. But I read those when I'm just checking for differences and kind of speed reading, just looking for differences. I got through those 60 chapters of Campfire Cooking in 2 hours. You know what I mean? It wasn't a big deal. So, well, catching up with Spy Family will probably be a little bit more of a endeavor. I can't imagine it will take more than 4 hours or something. So yeah. Read an hour a day or something. No big deal. But either way, this was handled pretty well. We talked about it a little bit about the at the end of the reaction, is just workplace shenanigans like this happen all the time. And in an era that they live in, being called out for being a spy is a pretty big deal. So it's no different than, hot button topic that's going on these days, but I'm just stating a fact. It's no different than having ICE called on you these days. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where
it's easier to refute that than a spy claim.
Oh yeah,
during this era, but yeah, it is similar.
It's the most hardcore thing you could potentially do. I remember there was an episode of The Office where freaking Angel like calls, whatever the service was back then. Like, yeah, I called it on Oscar, and I'm glad I did. It's like, wow, that's something. There's a joke that probably didn't age too well, but either way, it's always kind of interesting when things of topical nature and the era that any situation like this is brought up, because it's something that happens and has to be worried about in a pseudo wartime, like with like tensions rising between two countries and having to deal with, everybody trying to do information gathering one way or another. So it's always kind of nice that they kind of like highlight stuff like that, because even as like the average citizen, even if they plant evidence such as the director here did on Lloyd, if Lloyd wasn't Lloyd, that probably would have worked, and whoever would have been, Lloyd's character, just like if it was just like a regular doctor just doing his thing and he wasn't Lloyd, that guy's life would have been over. You know what I mean? So that's pretty like a pretty brutal reality of just like superiors over abusing their power because of, in this case, petty jealousy. You know what I mean? And you see that in a lot of workplace stuff. You see it all over Reddit and places like that where people like think, oh, there's no possible way stuff like that happens. It's like, while some people might embellish their Reddit stories, I can 1000% believe that nonsense like this happens all the time. You know what I mean? you see it all over the place. And in a country as big as America, I'm surprised there aren't more Reddit stories, but not everybody is willing to put their story out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. It's like a poll thing. Not everybody responds to polls, so those numbers don't mean anything. So you never really know how many people are going through this kind of nonsense. And we all see how the majority of people act in things like HOAs. You know what I mean? You're given a small amount of power and it just goes to your head kind of situation. And it's no different than like, say, the director at this hospital, that kind of thing. Or just, I'm the boss, so I can just do whatever I want. And it doesn't matter if I ruin somebody else's life. It's just like, well, at some point, karma's going to catch up to you, man. So,
yeah.
But either way, yeah, I did like what they did with this skit. It was a very good skit for what it was. Just Ian Sinclair doing his thing is always fun. It was handled pretty well across the board. Sticking Frankie and Fiona back together, we talked about that as a thing. You know what I mean? So that continuing, is anybody surprised by that? It's going to continue being a thing. That's just how it is. So either way, Frankie being Frankie, more hilarity, gotta appreciate it. But getting one over on Lloyd is just not happening. So especially when he has, it might have been more feasible if Fiona wasn't around being Fiona. You know what I mean? But I'm sure Lloyd would have figured something out at the end of the day if he was there alone. But this is exactly the reason why Sylvia has somebody else at the hospital working with him. You know what I mean? You have to have backup because of shenanigans like this. You never know what will happen. So,
yeah, I mean, once again, this is just meant to be his cover story, not meant to be his like actual main focus. Meanwhile, Fiona is supposed to be her main focus, is keeping his cover story as intact as possible.
Yep. So, either way, handled very well, solid skit. And now he's got an in with the director as, literally saving his life on the back end. So it'll be interesting to see if that character comes back, because aside from all those shenanigans, this episode was 100% let's bring back all the secondary characters. We had the dude straight out of Top Gun that works at it's the place Yuri works at, the secret police.
Yeah,
whatever they call it. I forget what their secret police is called, but it's the secret police. But that guy, he's like one of the major guys at the secret police, and I made the freaking Top Gun joke the first time he showed up, and they brought him back talking about the Red Circus stuff. We have all the other like random classmates that we haven't seen in a while, that kind of thing. Though we did see him in the episode with Umbridge. You know what I mean? That's the teenager's Bolt lady, which I really hope she comes back, because even as a one-off, that was great, but you can't establish a character that is a gimmick like that and not use her at least one or two more times.
I mean, she did get mentioned by what's his face, Elegant.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, we'll probably actually see her at least once or twice more at some point or another when we have a more school-focused skit.
Yep. But either way, as it stands right now, it's been a while since full-on Anya delusion, scenario. This one was absolutely ridiculous and painful to watch, honestly. It kept going, and I wanted it to be over.
Yeah, it was literally just her trying to perfectly recreate what Lloyd just did with the director, because she heard him do it, and now she wants to do it herself.
Right.
But once again, she's got a total of about 4 brain cells.
Yeah, and we all know how that works out. But somehow convinced Damien to do a thing, so something's working, but we all know that their relationship is as weird as Brock Samson's and Molotov cocktease, so just saying. That is the closest relationship dynamic that I can refer it to. So, which once again leads me to complain about they just wrote Molotov out of that story and did nothing with her after she joined the OSI. I would love to ask the creators, like, hey, did something happen with that? Did you have to scrap her for a different reason? That's what I would ask them. She got written in, and then she was gone for the rest of the series. So joins the OSI, and then she's gone. But either way, this thing here at the end, what we talked about, like fairly classic, actions like this that just do stuff like this. You know what I mean? They'll target schools like that. And I wanted to make the why would you purposely like portray like the name of the school on the bus? It's like, well, you have to do that. So you know what I mean? Even if you're trying to like hide who you are, in the case of like school field trips and stuff like that, there could be like multiple schools going at the same time. Like I remember when we had our like Disneyland trip in high school, like as seniors, the amount of buses in that parking lot was insane. So if you didn't have the name of your school on the side of the bus, you better know the bus driver or something. You know what I mean? So that's just something that's always done for that kind of thing. So it was just, was what it was. But these kind of factions that come up for what do you even want to call this? Like, it's technically terrorism. You know what I mean? So
yeah, from what we got out of the intelligence guy, these guys are basically just pro-war extremists, and like their main goal here probably is to basically use this as a method to try to strong-arm people like Donovan into pro-war policies.
Right. And they weren't afraid to just flat out shotgun that other car. I thought that thing was a grenade launcher for a second, but I forgot we're in the case of firearms in this, we're a little bit back in time when it comes to certain things. So
yeah, that was like a trench gun.
Yeah, so it was kind of more telling of like where they are at. Like it's like that pseudo like early bridge gap weapon. You know what I mean? Between like the modern shotgun and pre. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see something like this.
It's like a trench gun, but made with more modern materials.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat to see stuff like that, them bringing something like this out. So, And he hit one hell of a shot. I'm just gonna say it. Even at like 15, 25 feet, landing it straight on the tire is kind of effort for these kind of weapons. You know what I mean? Not the full-on ball and musket, but still.
Well, for a trench gun, that wouldn't actually be that hard, because the whole thing to a trench gun is it's meant for clearing trenches. You just point it in a general direction and pull the trigger, and it's gonna hit.
Right. So, either way, it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, because once again, the next episode is just the singular title, meaning it's going to be the entire skit. So it's going to probably revolve around this hostage situation and stuff like that. The teacher played by Shoto, I forget the VA's name, but he's all over the place. He's like Yom and Slime and stuff like that. But he got tased, so maybe Eden should invest in some security guards. Though to be fair, they did have a security detail, but they were it was the classic motor carriage convoy where there's the car in the front, and then the stuff they're protecting in the middle, and then the back people, which is the guys in this car, like the one guy that we saw. This guy, he was the guy that took the boys, like Damien's crew, on that camping trip. That guy. Yeah,
they had, it was front escort, back escort, 4 buses, but the Red Circus guys knew that that's what they were doing, and so they specifically hijacked the second and the third bus in the middle, the furthest from the escorts.
Right. Because when, since the escorts are going with them, the front escort already turned into the museum, and then the first 2 buses go in. You know what I mean? And then the first bus went in, and then, you know what I mean? So
then second and third bus continue on because they're hijacked, and it's the 4th bus who alerts the rear guard to go after them.
Yeah. So they definitely had a plan. So it's being executed. But there's not really a huge amount more we can really say about this. The Lloyd skit was great for what it was, and this is probably going to set up a fairly serious situation that Anya, let's be real, she's going to try to get herself killed. Let's face it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's going to try to do something to solve the situation. She's going to end up making it worse, and then freaking your Lloyd and probably Yuri are going to get involved.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. Fairly serious situation. But, yeah, I don't know. You guys see Anya, had some variety with her peanuts today. She had cheese flavored this time, too. It's important to diversify your snacks, right? Even if it is just dropping some cheese flavor in there. But either way, I appreciated all the side characters coming back and stuff like that being used. I was gonna make a side character joke when I forget his name, the super big kid was just talking about how they need to have multiple classes and stuff like that. It's just well, they sure as hell aren't gonna draw new character models. They're gonna use what they have.
Yeah.
So,
it is pretty common for, school trips like that to have multiple classes go on the same trip.
Yeah. So, either way, not really a huge amount to say about this one, but it had its moments and stuff like that. But I think it once again, that the Anya delusions further prove how much the author really does not like her character. It's they purposely make her stuff like that as cringe as possible, so people take it down a notch on how much they like Anya's character because of how much he exploded initially, especially because of the Anya face. So
yeah, the author clearly still plays into the Anya memes and stuff like that, but definitely goes out of their way to show just how freaking dumb Anya really actually is.
Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things, kind of like how we were talking about, like in Has Been, where like Penchis was just supposed to be like a one-off character, and now he's arguably the most important character in that show. Fan reactions and stuff like that, initial impressions and stuff like that, how they feel about characters, can drastically alter the course of any project. So it's fairly interesting to see how that goes, even if in the case of like Anya, the author has openly stated that they don't like the character. But, she's an integral part to the series regardless. So,
but yeah, then like the author has stated a number of times now that they wish they just kept with their original idea of doing it as teenage stuff instead, and that they don't like how Kid Anya actually turned out.
Yep.
And especially not just how freaking popular she's become.
Yep. So that is what it is. But either way, looking forward to the madness that I'm sure will ensue next episode. It's kind of a shame Henderson's not on the bus, because if Anya's going to do something ridiculous and he's not there, we're not going to get the elegant screams. That's a real bummer. That is a serious bummer. So... We'll
we didn't see any of the other buses, so we don't know if he's actually here or not. Just he's definitely not on this bus.
Yeah, because it was just the one teacher that this guy here that got zapped. So unless Henderson's on the third bus or the second, well, whatever. I'm not sure if we know what bus the people we're following is on. I don't know if they're on the second or third one.
They're on the third bus. Anya and them. This is the third bus.
Because they shot the rear. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and the second bus is also hijacked, but we never actually saw who was in any of the other buses. We just know the second and the third have been hijacked.
Yep. But one would assume that because Henderson is the homeroom teacher, that he was on one of these buses.
Yeah, Damien specifically calls out the fact that they've like kind of mixed the classes and the buses. It's not just specifically, this is class 3 is on the third bus specifically. So Henderson is probably on whatever bus has the rest of class 3 in it.
Yep. So anyway, should be a thing, but yeah, we're looking forward to next week and seeing what happens with this. And this teacher right here needs the vacation, not Lloyd.
Yeah, I imagine this guy's probably the class 4 teacher.
Yeah. So either way, he took one for the team. He's probably going to be out for a while. So it'll be interesting to see a hostage situation that just involves, first graders. And once again, Anya is probably going to Anya it up. And we're going to have to facepalm. So, yeah. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, people YouTube beyond, whoever you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hang out here in the dojo from our anime night in the dojo. And this was Spy Family Season 3, Episode 6. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.